From Animal Planet Studios, this is Whoa Sunday with Mo Rocca.
Hi, I'm Mo Rocca, and I know that even I can't remain the Animal Kingdom's undisputed variety show host of choice forever. You see, in Hollywood, youth is everything. And so when I turn 30, 8 years from now, I'll be considered downright prehistoric, and it'll be back to Mississippi riverboat dancing for me. But not for the megawatt celebrities we'll meet on tonight's show, Prehistoric Superstars. They've played good, they've played bad, they've played Hamlet. And tonight you'll get to see them in their prime. From dinosaur TV shows to movies, books, and even theme parks, so much prehistoric glamour you'll wonder how we could fit it all into 2 hours. Well, it wasn't easy. I worked very hard at that. Remember that when some hipster host in waiting comes along. Remember who brought you Prehistoric Superstars on Animal Planet's Whoa Sunday. It was me. I'm the one who brought it to you.
From Jurassic Park to primetime sitcoms, sold-out exhibits to cutting-edge cartoons, dinosaurs have stomped their way into every corner of today's pop culture.
Dinosaurs have a big future. They're just continually fascinating.
It was a living dinosaur.
I wanted to bridge every single technology, so the film would simply be, that's a dinosaur.
Get ready to go on a 225 million year journey and see how scientific breakthroughs and filmmakers' imaginations have transformed the image of dinosaurs before our very eyes. On Animal Icons, Prehistoric Superstars. They ruled the planet for over 180 million years. They vanished for over 60 million. But today, dinosaurs are far from extinct. Movies and TV shows, theme parks, books, and video games all prove that dinosaurs hold a bedrock place, not only in today's science, but also in every part of our popular culture. And it's only getting bigger. Look out!
Everybody knows what a dinosaur is. It's an icon that everybody universally responds to.
I call dinosaurs media superstars because that's what they are. They are much more important in films and in mass media, cartoons, and action-adventure films like Jurassic Park.
They were something that doesn't exist today, and I think because it doesn't exist today, there's no immediate direct access, it becomes the thing that mythology is made of, that makes mythology so fascinating.
I was so awestruck by seeing prehistoric dinosaurs on the screen. It really influenced my whole interest in film world and in prehistoric animals.
Dinosaurs are everything in one. They are the creatures of fantasy. They're the dragons. They're the monsters under the bed. They're the cute little stuffed purple guys. But they're also the real creatures, the amazing pageant of life. Things so fantastic you couldn't imagine them, but they really live.
I'm the baby, gotta love me. Big purple eyes, I'm very cuddly, gotta love me.
I think the reason why dinosaurs are always so popular is they're real. You know, you may say all these other monsters and creatures and imaginary fantasy characters that we love to put in all of our productions. To our kids, those are make-believe. But whenever you do anything with a dinosaur, it's not really make-believe. Maybe this really is the way dinosaurs were. Maybe dinosaurs were lovable pets like Dino. Maybe I could have a best friend that's a dinosaur, you know, or maybe dinosaurs were big, scary King Kong monsters like in Jurassic Park.
Right now, humans rule the Earth. But for millions of years, I mean, it's a huge amount of time, the dinosaurs ruled the Earth.
The original prehistoric superstars can be traced back to 1854, when the world's first display of prehistoric creatures was exhibited at London's Crystal Palace. The results astonished over 2 million visitors, including Queen Victoria.
These were life-size figures based on very scrappy fossil material, just a few bones here and there. So they did their best to recreate what they thought these animals looked like based on knowledge of present-day animals.
These early attempts at depicting dinosaurs still attract visitors to this day at London's Crystal Palace Park. But with no real science to support the effort, the figures bore little resemblance to dinosaurs as we think of them today.
They're completely wrong. I mean, they look like Gamera from the Japanese films. You know, they're totally wrong.
4 years later, in 1858, the next prehistoric star was born, when a crew of diggers in Haddonfield, New Jersey, excavated the first nearly complete dinosaur skeleton, the Hadrosaurus folkii.
In the history of dinosaur discovery, Hadrosaurus folkii isn't just another dinosaur discovery. It is the dinosaur discovery. It is the one that proved that dinosaurs actually existed, and more importantly, it's also the one that showed what the actual anatomy of dinosaurs were.
What's important about the hadrosaurs is it was the first commercially sold and marketed dinosaur skeleton.
Every dinosaur skeleton mounted in every museum around the world traces its history back to Hadrosaurus folkii here in Haddonfield.
The skeleton's impact on dinosaur study was immeasurable, and so was its impact on the town of Haddonfield, New Jersey. But it was the work of pioneering artist Charles R. Knight that truly put meat on the bones of dinosaurs, defining the creatures for generations to come.
Charles R. Knight was the greatest illustrator of dinosaurs who ever lived. In the early 20th century, he did hundreds of dinosaur paintings and illustrations, and in them, he made dinosaurs incredibly vibrant. That was, for us, the movies of the day. That's how we saw dinosaurs, and it made dinosaurs much more active and scary and alive to us than anything had been before. Of course, it built in a lot of prejudices, too, because they were tail-dragging creatures in his depictions also, but it made them real to us.
Knight's extraordinary images breathed new life into dinosaurs, and their place in pop culture grew even bigger thanks to a novel by one of the world's top authors. First published in 1912, The Lost World, written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, staggered readers with its tale of an expedition that discovers dinosaurs still living on present-day Earth.
It's a wonderful story, this plateau, you know, in South America where the dinosaurs still are.
The book was an instant bestseller and spawned dinosaur-related fiction for years to come. The book's success also paved the way for cinema's first prehistoric cartoon star. In 1914, movie audiences were introduced to Gertie the dinosaur. Viewers were astounded as Gertie's creator, artist Winsor McKay, interacted with his playful brontosaurus during live stage shows by standing beside a movie screen.
What's remarkable about Gertie is she moves very much like an elephant. And so he just extrapolated this large gait.
Gertie held audiences spellbound. She also became the first dinosaur to inspire a movie sequel, Gertie on Tour, released in 1921. In 1915, on the heels of Gertie's success, audiences witnessed another cinematic achievement that resurrected the dinosaurs. The short subject, The Dinosaur and the Missing Link, was an early work of special effects wizard Willis O'Brien. It utilized a groundbreaking process known as stop-motion animation.
Willis O'Brien started devising ways of animating figures way back in 1915 with clay figures.
Basically, you have a steel armature, metal armature, aluminum armature. Basically, it's a duplicate of a skeleton done in metal with ball joints, hinge joints, or swivel joints, and you move it a little bit at a time. It holds a position. It's a posable armature. This armature is in this. I would move his head a fraction of an inch, take one frame of film, move it again, maybe move his arms down, step back, take another frame of film.
On film, it's 24 frames, positions, for 1 second of film.
O'Brien's creatures in films like Ghost of Slumber Mountain made him a natural to work on the first full-length dinosaur movie. In 1925, a silent film based on Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World roared onto movie screens. Audiences marveled as O'Brien's innovative stop-motion technique seemed to allow prehistoric creatures to once again walk the earth.
The major impact it had was to show that a movie like this could be done with stop motion throughout and sell to an audience.
He made stars of the dinosaurs. People remember the dinosaurs, but they don't remember who was in the picture.
For inspiration, Willis O'Brien understandably turned to the work of illustrator Charles R. Knight.
Willis O'Brien based his models on the Knight paintings and the Knight sculptures. In The Lost World, for instance, there's an Allosaurus, which is clearly the Allosaurus that Knight did for the American Museum of Natural History in the early 1900s.
The Lost World was the first time audiences got to see these ancient creatures on the big screen. And a lot of people were actually fooled. Audiences thought they were looking at footage of real dinosaurs in the film.
Even Sir Arthur Conan Doyle helped promote the film, generating priceless publicity with a clever stunt.
Doyle loved hoaxes, and he went around the country with some of the footage in this picture and showed it to people without telling them what it was. And he didn't tell them it was special effects. He let them wonder about these dinosaurs. And so it had actually started to develop kind of a reputation before it was released.
The film added a lavish finale to Conan Doyle's original story. In the movie, humans transport a dinosaur to London, where the beast breaks free and causes mass destruction.
It's hard for us to imagine what that must have been like in 1925 to sit in a theater and see live dinosaurs interacting with people on a screen that had never been seen before. It had to be an incredible thing to see.
Coming up on Animal Planet's Whoa Sunday.
Could a T-Rex date a Triceratops, or would there be too much conflict?
When we return, stay tuned. And now back to Whoa Sunday.
Welcome back to Whoa Sunday. I'm here at the American Museum of Natural History in New York City, talking to some massive dinosaur fans. What's your favorite dinosaur?
I'd have to say the T-Rex.
And why is that?
They're big, they have a lot of teeth, and they eat meat.
Dinosaurs have been the stars of so many movies. What movie with a human lead actor would have been better with a dinosaur in the role?
You asked me actually a hard question.
What about Grease 2?
Well, Grease...
Come on, anything would make that movie better. The T-Rex eats meat, the Triceratops doesn't. Could a T-Rex date a Triceratops, or would there be too much conflict?
I think they could, but yeah.
Love conquers all?
I mean, like, if they went on a date to Olive Garden, he'd get the chicken parmesan. He'd get just like the house salad, you know?
And now, back to Hollywood's prehistoric superstars on Animal Planet's Whoa Sunday.
6 years after The Lost World dazzled moviegoers, the creator of its special effects, Willis O'Brien, tried to interest Hollywood producers in another dinosaur feature. But the film, titled Creation, never got beyond this early test reel. Although budget concerns doomed the ambitious project, O'Brien's film did catch the eye of RKO studio executive Marion C. Cooper. Cooper hired O'Brien to animate dinosaurs in a different movie, a risky fantasy epic titled King Kong.
Weird, wonderful, the stuff for which movies are made. Adventure, to make you wonder if it's true, while your eyes convince you that it is.
King Kong really was the starting point for not only us, for so many people. Again, it was this great story, this great adventure that had dinosaurs in it.
I was so inspired by King Kong, that was one of the reasons I think I wanted to make Jurassic Park.
With a prehistoric supporting cast that included a Brontosaurus, a Stegosaurus, a pterodactyl, and a T-Rex, King Kong became a defining moment for dinosaurs on film.
It was a grand adventure, something that you've never seen before. A 100-foot-long Brontosaurus, you know, grabbing you out of a tree. It was like adventure beyond imagination.
The dinosaurs in that have a sense of life, especially the T-Rex, the fight with Kong and the T-Rex.
King Kong was the high watermark of special effects, creating a world that I never knew existed, especially the great fight between King Kong and the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Almost like a sumo wrestling match.
The Tyrannosaurus that Kong fights is very obviously the Charles Knight American Museum of Natural History painting that was done in the early 1900s. In fact, when that painting was done, they really didn't know a whole lot about Tyrannosaurus. They didn't know exactly which of the holes of the skull was the eye hole, the orbit. So the eye was actually in the wrong place in that painting, just like the eye is in the wrong place in the Tyrannosaurus model in King Kong.
I really have to say it's Willis O'Brien and King Kong. The T-Rex and the pterodactyl in King Kong really set the template for how should these animals that we've never seen move.
O'Brien's prehistoric creatures not only helped make King Kong one of the biggest box office hits of the 1930s, it also inspired the career of at least one astonished moviegoer, future special effects great Ray Harryhausen.
I was so influenced by King Kong, and every young boy at that time was interested in dinosaurs. So my first effort in filmmaking was to experiment with prehistoric animals. So I started experimenting with a film called Evolution, and that was my first 16mm initiation into the film world.
These people saw King Kong and it changed their lives. It changed their lives in a dramatic way. And Ray Harryhausen said, I have to do that.
Another of King Kong's enormous legacies was the shadow it cast on live entertainment. In 1933, Chicago's Century of Progress World's Fair introduced The World a Million Years Ago, a life-sized prehistoric scene housed in an enormous dome. And with a little help from Sinclair Oil, a new wave of dinomania was underway.
World's Fair also had the Sinclair dinosaur exhibit, which also had life-size mechanical dinosaurs out in a grotto type situation. With Sinclair Oil, dinosaurs were used to symbolize something very old. I mean, the myth started that Sinclair Oil was made out of dead dinosaurs. That's not true. It wasn't dinosaurs becoming oil. They were used to symbolize that their crude oils go back very, very, very far. And that's why they were using dinosaurs as their trademark.
The Sinclair Dinosaur exhibit transported visitors to a part of the Earth's surface as it supposedly existed 100 million years ago. It also offered a stupendous glimpse of some of the biggest creatures ever built, including a bulking Brontosaurus.
First official dinosaur craze began mainly through the advertising campaign of the Sinclair Oil Company. The Sinclair Company actually started putting out booklets, souvenir booklets, and informative booklets, and stamps. You would go to the service stations and you would get prehistoric animal stamps, and you would, paste them in the booklet. And it was an incentive for your parents to get their gas for their cars at Sinclair stations. And some of the Sinclair stations had dinosaur figures out in front that the kids could sit on and get their pictures taken.
In 1940, film producer Hal Roach's prehistoric drama 1 Million BC introduced a new kind of dinosaur to the silver screen, one who had less to do with scientific theory than with the common garden lizard.
They used live lizards. Some of them had spikes and fins and things glued on them. There's even a scene where they took an armadillo and they put all kinds of spikes and horns on it.
The alligator with the fin is probably the most used stock footage of dinosaur fighting that's ever been created, and it was just lizards.
Valley of the Dragon.
They used a stuntman named Paul Stater in a Tyrannosaurus costume, which made him a conspicuously short Tyrannosaurus when he fought Victor Mature.
But despite its shortcomings, 1 Million BC captivated moviegoers with its dramatic depiction of brave cavemen fighting prehistoric monsters. Never mind that human beings arrived on Earth 65 million years after dinosaurs became extinct.
There were no cavemen around when there were dinosaurs, but it somehow gotten into our head that they were. We somehow imagined this past in which early man had to beat these creatures, had to defeat these creatures in order to survive himself. So it's a story of our own triumph. We're fascinated by them because we have survived them.
1940 also brought moviegoers the first frighteningly real dinosaur animation in Walt Disney's feature, Fantasia.
That great sequence with the T-Rex and the Stegosaurus, and it was pretty horrific, and it just shows the kind of survival of the fittest mentality, dog eat dog or dinosaur eat dinosaur.
You always had good dinosaurs and bad dinosaurs. The T-Rex and the meat eaters, the carnosaurs, they were the bad guys.
Most of us of a certain age remember Fantasia as the best animated movie ever made, and their dinosaurs were spectacular on the big screen. Now we know they weren't so accurate all the time, but just to see them so real, so captivating, for kids between the 1930s and the 1960s, this was dinosaurs.
But Disney's prehistoric actors took some gigantic artistic liberties when it came to scientific accuracy.
Tyrannosaurs and a Stegosaurus could never have met. They lived in two different places at two different times.
Even paleontologist Barnum Brown, the man who first discovered T-Rex, couldn't deter Walt Disney from his creative vision.
Walt Disney, who had brought in Barnum Brown as a consultant to look at some of the footage, Walt Disney said, "What do you think of what we have?" And Brown said, "Well, we're pretty certain Tyrannosaurus, only had 2 claws on each hand." And Disney said, "Yeah, but look how much better they look with the 3.
The sequence with the dinosaurs crawling across the desert, which is now apparently not what happened. One of the great things about dinosaurs is they keep making it up. It's changing constantly.
You're watching Whoa Sunday.
Give me your impression of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Oh, that's terrifying.
Don't go away. There's more Whoa Sunday after the break. You're watching Whoa Sunday. And now it's time for Animal Phraseology with Mo Rocca.
You know, the talented prehistoric superstars we've seen tonight have played some of the greatest animal roles ever written. But have you ever wondered if these talented thespians ever played possum? The term playing possum refers to the fact that the opossum, as he's technically called, and no, he's not Irish, will often play dead in order to avoid being eaten by a predator. This clever use of method acting has ably served this prehistoric superstar, for the opossum, North America's only native marsupial, has been around since the dinosaur age, a staggering 80 million years. Talk about career longevity. Not a bad run for a creature who got his start doing stand-up in Schenectady.
So my brontosaurus is so big that when he sits around the house, he sits around the house. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here every Saturday, and enjoy the chicken wings.
Where modern man meets prehistoric monster. The Lost Continent.
And we fell in love with the dinosaur movies that didn't even have the sophisticated stop-motion stuff. There was less sophisticated stop-motion, like The Lost Continent with Hugh Beaumont, you know, with some really, two-frame, very, staccato-type, stuttering animation.
Movies like Lost Continent were embraced by an audience hungry for fantastic films. But it took a classic movie monster to truly kickstart the next chapter of Dino Fever.
The major reason, oddly enough, that there were giant monster movies in the 1950s was King Kong. It was reissued in the very early 50s, heavily advertised on television, one of the very first films to be advertised that way, and it made a great deal more money at that time than it had in any of its previous reissues. That led directly to A Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
An armored giant, wreaking his prehistoric fury on modern man and his puny machines. Cities would be terrorized by the cruel intruder from the past. The Beast. The Beast. The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
With stop-motion animation by Ray Harryhausen, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms became the first major prehistoric movie monster of the 1950s.
It was loosely based on a Ray Bradbury's story. And it was about a gigantic, mythical prehistoric animal that attacks New York.
The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms cost about $200,000. And you can't even buy a costume today for that.
Despite its low budget, the story of a gigantic monster unleashed by a scientific accident touched a nerve among audiences made anxious by the recent invention of the atomic bomb.
I say there are things better left unsolved.
That is probably the most influential dinosaur picture because it was a huge success, an unexpected box office success. And that directly inspired Godzilla.
Godzilla, king of the monsters, alive, surging up from the depths of the sea on a tidal wave of terror to wreak vengeance on mankind.
Toho, they thought, we want to make a copy of that. And so they made a Japanese version, which was Godzilla. It was the template for all those giant monster on the loose movies.
Not only man was hurting man, but now look, you create something that wrought even more, destruction and death.
Which further kind of created that myth, the evil myth about dinosaurs, that they're bad.
Soon, countless post-atomic dinosaurs were terrorizing city dwellers on the big screen.
Look there. 2 points off the port bow.
The giant behemoth, the fire-spitting monster predicted in the Bible. Its core a mass of lethal radiation.
But it wasn't only cinematic creatures that fueled the 1950s dinosaur craze. It was also a mural, painted by artist Rudolf Zallinger for the Peabody Museum of Natural History. Titled The Age of Reptiles, it documented 300 million years of dinosaur evolution and took 4.5 years to complete. At 110 feet by 16 feet, it remains one of the largest paintings in the world. And like Charles R. Knight before him, Zallinger's landscapes and natural surroundings seemed the perfect environment for bringing dinosaurs to life. Zallinger completed the mural in 1947, and 2 years later, received the Pulitzer Prize for painting in recognition of his work. But it wasn't until 1953 that Life magazine printed a reproduction of the Age of Reptiles and made dinosaurs once again superstars on the printed page.
The Age of Reptiles at Yale University was, I think, one of the most important breakthroughs in the public image of the dinosaur. It was the moment when dinosaurs made the cover of Life. His mural was spread there across Life magazine and in the interior as well, in glorious color.
This magazine was on every newsstand. Everybody walking on the street saw this incredible painting.
Zallinger's work inspired a new legion of dino fans. It also rekindled the waning field of paleontology.
Those Pulitzer Prize-winning illustrations drove a whole new mania of dinosaurs because kids got a chance to see, oh, these are the fantastic animals we love, and they asked for more.
Zallinger's dinosaurs became some of the most reproduced dinosaur images in the world, sparking an unprecedented wave of dinosaur merchandise.
It was reproduced as a postage stamp, so it received global circulation and probably became the most recognizable single dinosaur image in the world.
Filmmakers also jumped on the prehistoric bandwagon, including producer Irwin Allen with the 1956 documentary, The Animal World.
Here is the fantastic 2 billion year story of the Earth's oldest mystery, the wonder that could transform minute creatures of primeval waters into towering monsters.
The film was Willis O'Brien's final dinosaur project using stop-motion animation, made in collaboration with his protege, Ray Harryhausen. But O'Brien and Harryhausen were unhappy with the final result, which was marred by heavy cost-cutting. Unfortunately, stop-motion was expensive and time-consuming, and studios scrambled to find less expensive ways to bring dinosaurs to the screen.
Stay tuned. There's more Whoa Sunday right here on Animal Planet. And now more Whoa with Mo.
Welcome back to Whoa Sunday. You know, some people like puppies, some people like kittens. Some people, if they had a choice, would like a more exotic pet. If you could have any dinosaur as a pet, which would you choose?
Raptors.
And why?
They're cool. I like the fact that they work in like a team, and they're really fast.
Okay, so you'd have to have at least a couple of raptors.
Yeah.
Can you play fetch with a raptor?
I guess they'd fetch it and then eat it, but...
Would you pet your raptor?
If it wouldn't bite me, yeah.
What would you name your raptor?
Tim. Tim.
Why?
I like Tim.
We now return to Hollywood's prehistoric superstars on Animal Planet's Whoa Sunday.
This is the greatest moment of your lives. There it is, directly ahead. The land where monsters live.
In 1960, movie dinosaurs took an even greater evolutionary leap away from reality in producer Irwin Allen's remake of The Lost World.
Johnny!
There it is. This is such a monster. A dinosaur.
Although Willis O'Brien had been hired to create the special effects, a tight budget kept him from using the stop-motion methods that made the original film of The Lost World a classic.
They remade it in the 60s, and Irwin Allen used real lizards. And it was such a disappointment. You'd think with all the advancements that had been made in motion pictures over those 40 years, that they would use a technique not even as sophisticated.
The 1960s version of The Lost World was always a little on the hokey side. It had a great cast and some lush photography, but their idea of dinosaurs was to take everyday lizards and reptiles and just stick rubber fins on them and shoot them up real close. Anybody watching the film realized that, hey, that's just an iguana with some rubber on its back. That's not a dinosaur.
A baby dinosaur. Ha! Tyrannosaurus Rex. It lived long enough to grow as big as a house and terrify all London.
The 1960 hit Gorgo gave moviegoers a more sympathetic prehistoric star, one who followed in Godzilla's giant footsteps by using a man in a suit to play the title role.
Fire! No motion picture of our time has ever unleashed shock spectacle of such scope and realism as up from the depths of prehistoric mystery rages Gorgo.
Seeing Gorgo in a theater when I was a kid had a huge impact on me. And the story really upset me. I mean, you know, it turned out that Gorgo was a baby, so his mother was coming to get him.
Nothing can stop it. Defying the force of the Army, the might of the Navy, line number 1 carry, even the fury of the jets. In a striking crescendo of sights never before beheld by human eyes.
When you go to making costumes like Gorgo, which was, you know, a man in a suit, but it was a beautiful creature.
The best man in a suit dinosaur.
1960 was also the year that a modern Stone Age family and their pet dinosaur first hit primetime TV airwaves.
Flintstones used the primitive setting, the caveman setting, as a vehicle of social satire of the present.
Here we go! Who's the mighty hero who really rings the bell? That's right, it's your man from Bedrock, Fred Flintstone, rocking you with hysterical prehistorical family comedy on The Flintstones.
Dino is a pal in the Flintstone stories, and he's like a friendly dog. He trots around after them just like the family dog ought to.
1964 World's Fair had two really prominent dinosaur-related exhibits. One was a Sinclair dinosaur exhibit, which was called Sinclair Dino Land. You could spend all day there, and I spent a long time there taking home movies and just looking at the things and taking snapshots.
Meanwhile, at Walt Disney's Magic Skyway exhibit, something even more impressive had been added to the dinosaurs: realistic movement. Disney, who'd made prehistoric creatures live again in Fantasia, used the new pioneering technology of audio animatronics to make dinosaurs three-dimensionally real. It was an accomplishment he promoted on an episode of The Wonderful World of Color.
You know you're on television. You don't know about television, do you? I want you to look pretty. That's it. Get your head up and hold it there now. Show them how you behave. That's a good one. That's a good one. Now, I suppose you're wondering what we're doing with dinosaurs here at the studio. Well, these baby brontosauruses are just a few of the hundreds of three-dimensional animated figures developed for the World's Fair.
I remember at the World's Fair in New York when I was like 14, where you sat in a convertible and you drove through time, and they had big dinosaurs. And I remember very well this one dinosaur, because they had real water coming out of the water and chewing. They had this great movement, and they towered over you. And it was very impressive. And pterodactyls flew overhead, and it was hot in there too. They had the heat, humidity, and it was fabulous. It made a huge impression on me.
There was a mechanical stegosaurus fighting a mechanical tyrannosaurus with 3 claws, pretty much recreating the scene from Fantasia.
Thanks to Walt Disney, the 1964 World's Fair featured some of the most high-tech prehistoric creatures devised up to that time. But their sophistication didn't stop dino-loving producer Irwin Allen from unleashing more primitive dino lizards on 2 TV shows. In 1965's Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, the show's undersea explorers encountered this beast from the prehistoric past. On 1967's The Time Tunnel, viewers were transported back to the age of dinosaurs. Fans of another TV favorite, the spooky sitcom The Munsters, also embraced the antics of the prehistoric pet Spot. Only the sharpest-eyed viewer knew that Spot's head was recycled from the 1957 T-Rex adventure tale, The Land Unknown. Dinosaurs even stomped their way into the plot of one of TV's most popular primetime series, Batman, in the episode How to Hatch a Dinosaur. In 1966, dinosaur movie fans got their first real prehistoric epic in years, when effects wizard Ray Harryhausen raised stop-motion animation to a new level in the film 1 Million Years BC, starring Raquel Welch.
1 million years BC erupts on the screen with volcanic excitement.
The result was a creature cast more real and multidimensional than any since King Kong.
John Richardson as Tumac, as big and strong as the beasts he fought for survival.
Ray Harryhausen not only gave people in the 50s and 60s a look of what dinosaurs look like on screen, he also inspired a lot of people who are now doing the computer graphics effects.
Primitive man and monstrous beasts fought each other to inherit the earth.
We loved Ray's work. To see dinosaurs animated that way, the fight, the Ceratosaurus and the Triceratops, was real exciting.
Triceratops, a horned dinosaur in battle with the savage Ceratosaurus.
There's a fantasy element that he tries to put into his characters in his films, and he thinks stop motion brings out the fantasy element because they don't ever seem to be totally real.
In addition to the film's realistic creatures, 1 Million Years BC also created a new prehistoric trend: dinosaurs and women.
In Years BC, had dinosaurs and Raquel Welch, the two things that boys like.
Raquel Welch. See her as Loana the Fair One, who deserted her tribe and risked her life to follow Tumac of the Rock People.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you are about to see has never been seen before by human eyes.
Ray Harryhausen took 1960s dinosaurs to even more ingenious heights with his next film. In 1969's The Valley of Gwangi, prehistoric creatures shared the screen with cowboys in the Old West.
The Valley of the Gwangi has a great image, which is the dinosaur and cowboys, where they try to rope the dinosaur. It's spectacular.
Cowboys and dinosaurs, again, mixing two icons, you know, the West and dinosaurs. So it was a really great mix.
But unlike the creative artistry of Ray Harryhausen, most dinosaur movies of the day were considered kiddie fare. And for young viewers, the more over-the-top the creatures were, the better.
We were really trying wilder and more outlandish things, and the films became less believable and more silly and campy as they went on. One of my favorites is Destroy All Monsters.
From the laboratories and arsenals of all civilized nations, the most powerful, the newest, the most devastating of weapons blast into action.
The filmmakers at Toho Studios just threw everything in but the kitchen sink.
Destroy all monsters.
Stay tuned.
How do you think your raptor would get along with your cat?
Probably eat him.
Do you like cats?
Not really, so go ahead and eat it.
There's more Whoa Sunday after the break, right here on Animal Planet. You're watching Whoa Sunday. It's time for Prehistoric Star Maps with Mo Rocca.
Hollywood, home to today's top animal stars. But before Tinseltown came calling, many prehistoric superstars called some surprising places home. Madonna may be the most famous celebrity living in London today, but the original Material Girl was none other than the Megalosaurus, the star of the world's first ever dinosaur exhibit, held in London's Crystal Palace in 1854. No word on whether she was into Kabbalah. Way before the boss came along, an even bigger star was born in the USA. That's right, Hadrosaurus folkii, the first nearly complete dinosaur skeleton ever found, called Haddonfield, New Jersey home. And please don't ask him what exit. He's heard the joke before. And finally, before Cheryl Ladd and Senator George McGovern put South Dakota on the map, the biggest prehistoric superstar of all, Jurassic Park's Tyrannosaurus Rex, roamed the Mount Rushmore state. But don't worry, stardom hasn't changed this farm boy one bit. He's still as mean as he ever was.
And now, back to Hollywood's prehistoric superstars on Animal Planet's Whoa Sunday.
By 1974, kids across America were enjoying a Saturday morning dinosaur dose with the hit TV series Land of the Lost, the story of a family plunged into a world stopped in time.
In the 70s, we had shows like Land of the Lost, Valley of the Dinosaurs that were very popular with kids, and the dinosaurs weren't so threatening because the makers of the shows were trying to present a new image of dinosaurs.
But the real excitement involving dinosaurs was happening in the world of science. New theories were again radically changing our perception of prehistoric creatures. The result was what became known as the dinosaur renaissance. Outspoken paleontologist and self-proclaimed rebel Robert T. Bacher revived a bygone theory first presented in the mid-1800s that dinosaurs were warm-blooded and related to birds rather than reptiles.
You wouldn't have to change an emu much to make a raptor, not much at all. A modern-day raptor, pretty close. Thigh bone would fit like that, shin bone like that. That's perfect!
A century ago, we saw them as we do today. The ancestors of birds. Fast-moving, clever. Then something happened again. Dinosaurs in the middle of the last century became slow-moving and sluggish again.
Dinosaurs had been portrayed as sluggish, lizard-like, cold-blooded, stupid, obsolete freaks of nature, basically. So suddenly we're seeing a whole new perception, a whole new image of dinosaurs.
It's only very recently that new discoveries in the last 25 years have uplifted dinosaurs to the amazing animals we see them as today.
Dinosaurs were no longer perceived to be lumbering beasts. Scientists now saw them as swift and cunning. During the 1980s, dinosaurs further evolved before our eyes, thanks to theories presented by paleontologist Jack Horner. Horner's discovery of the first dinosaur eggs in the Western Hemisphere led to a new theory that dinosaurs were parental creatures who nurtured their young.
One of the dinosaurs is called Myosauria, which means the carrying dinosaur, the nurturing dinosaur. And this was one of these egg nest creating dinosaurs that we know about.
That was a tremendous leap forward in dinosaur discoveries and ideas about dinosaurs.
By the mid-1980s, movie dinosaurs were reflecting the nurturing side described by science. Young audiences devoured such family-friendly films as Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend, and The Land Before Time.
Come celebrate one of the most beloved animated film series ever, The Land Before Time.
Sound fun. Come on. Oh, yes. Yeah!
A lot of people have capitalized on children's love of dinosaurs and made them cuddly. There were, you look at the Land Before Time movies, all the warm and fuzzy little plant eaters, you know, they're the good guys.
Adults also picked up on the latest dino fever, especially when a twisted comic edge was added to the mix. enter Gary Larson's The Far Side.
Gary Larson, the cartoonist in The Far Side, had a tremendous impact as far as keeping dinosaurs in the forefront. I think probably one of the most reprinted cartoons and hung up on the wall cartoons of all time is the dinosaurs with the cigarettes, where the caption was, the real reason why dinosaurs went extinct, and they're all sitting there, you know, smoking cigarettes.
Gary Larson has a cartoon showing a dinosaur approaching New York City, and there's a sign that says, "You must be as tall as this sign to attack the city." Dinosaurs are good satirical objects because, after all, they died out and we're still around.
Meanwhile, in the world of science, a fresh look at an old discovery turned one famous dinosaur into a thing of the past. In 1989, the U.S. Postal Service released a set of 4 dinosaur stamps, including a Brontosaurus. Members of the scientific community were outraged because it had been known since the turn of the century that the Brontosaurus and the Apatosaurus were the same dinosaur.
I grew up with a creature called the Brontosaurus, and now they say there's no such thing. It's now an Apatosaurus, and that the Brontosaurus skeletons that we grew up with in those museums were wrong. They had the wrong head on the wrong body.
The 1989 stamp incident marked the beginning of the end for the Brontosaurus, whose name began to be replaced with the correct term, Apatosaurus, even in popular culture. But whether it's been called Brontosaurus or Apatosaurus, the creature has remained a fixture in movies and TV, from Gertie the Dinosaur to King Kong to Dino. In 1991, the pop culture perception that dinosaurs were part of our world took another quantum leap, thanks to a best-selling book series. It was the dawn of Dinotopia. The brainchild of author and illustrator James Gurney, Dinotopia began as a series of art prints and illustrated books about a lost island shared in harmony by humans and dinosaurs.
Dinotopia is a fantastic work of illustration. Jim Gurney was a great Life magazine illustrator with a great vision of a world of dinosaurs and people. One of the most compelling fantasies about dinosaurs is if we could live alongside them, these sage dinosaurs that he has, what a world this would be.
Dinotopia, A Land Apart from Time, first published in 1991, appeared in 18 languages in over 30 countries, and sold 2 million copies. Its success spawned a wave of Dinotopia spin-offs, including book sequels and TV programs. Gurney's acclaimed artwork led to his series of 1997 postage stamps, The World of Dinosaurs.
Baby with a song of some sort.
I'm the baby, gotta love me, big purple eyes.
1991 also introduced some of the world's funniest prehistoric creatures. The TV sitcom Dinosaurs, created by Muppet pioneer Jim Henson and his son Brian, stomped its way into viewers' hearts, mixing puppets and actors for 3 successful seasons.
What we liked to do in that series was say dinosaurs live entirely irresponsibly. And that's why they're going to go extinct, because they don't care about the environment, they don't particularly care about each other, they're not living carefully, they don't eat carefully. And we thought that that was a lot of fun, put them up as an example of how not to live.
The sitcom wasn't the first live-action comedy to depict dinosaurs coexisting with humans. Since the 1920s and films like Buster Keaton's comedy 3 Ages, the Rocky premise has had a lasting place in dino fiction.
I remember one very angry letter that I got right after the first episode aired from a scientist. He was very, very angry. And the letter went something like, dinosaurs that live in houses, okay. Dinosaurs that talk, I believe it. Dinosaurs at the same time as man, totally unacceptable. You know, it was so interesting. It was like, it was perfectly fine to everything we did, but the fact that there were people there really bugged him.
Gotta love me.
You're watching Whoa Sunday.
Who's afraid of a vegetarian?
A plant?
Don't go away. There's more Whoa Sunday after the break. And now more Whoa with Mo.
Would you like to have a pet dinosaur?
Yeah.
Do you know which kind?
T-Rex.
What would you name your pet T-Rex?
Ted.
Teddy. I will name it Flower. If it's a girl, I name it Cindy, and if it's a boy, I name it Brian.
What would you do with your pet dinosaur?
Train him how to make an earthquake. Keep him away from me so he wouldn't bite me.
Okay, so you're going to train him how to create an earthquake, and you're going to stay away from him. So one of you is risk averse, the other one loves danger. Would you put costumes on your T-Rex?
Yeah.
Like what?
Tutus?
Would you cuddle with your T-Rex?
No.
Would you pet your T-Rex?
Maybe on the foot, because that's the only place I can reach.
Do you have a message for your pet T-Rex, Teddy?
I love you, Teddy T-Rex.
We now return to Hollywood's prehistoric superstars on Animal Planet's Whoa Sunday.
For dinosaur fans and scholars, no event of the 1990s had a greater impact on popular culture than the publication of the most important piece of dinosaur fiction since 1912's The Lost World. Author Michael Crichton's 1990 novel, Jurassic Park, became one of the decade's top 10 bestsellers, with its ingenious and controversial premise that dinosaur DNA could be used to bring the creatures back from extinction.
The underlying theme of Jurassic Park is don't mess around with Mother Nature. We have unlocked secrets that should remain secret, and because of our own pride in thinking that we have control over them, they're going to defeat us.
Crichton's book ignited scientific debate and captivated millions of readers. Among them was filmmaker Steven Spielberg, who set out to bring Jurassic Park to the big screen. For Spielberg, a dinosaur buff since childhood, the challenge would be to create dinosaurs that would top any ever depicted before. Dinosaurs that, for the first time, would seem absolutely real.
I initially wanted to make all the dinosaurs full size, and that, of course, was just my wishful thinking.
Among those Spielberg turned to was Oscar-winning creature creator Stan Winston, a veteran of films like The Terminator and Edward Scissorhands.
We created robots that were the most organic robots anybody had ever seen. We created dinosaurs that was full size, live action. 65% of that movie was the real deal.
The first scene that we shot with Stan Winston was the big, sick, whatchamacallit, Triceratops. And even though it's not doing much, it's there, kind of sick, kind of breathing and blinking and tongue moving. But I'll tell you, for all the world, when you saw this thing, it was a living dinosaur. It was an amazing, amazing thing.
Oh my God.
One of the biggest challenges for Stan Winston and Steven Spielberg was to bring to life one of pop culture's most terrifying dinosaurs, the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
T-Rex is the villain to end all villains because it's the biggest meat eater, at least we thought it was when it was found, of any that ever lived on the Earth.
He's the scariest predator that ever walked the Earth.
He has this big skull with these big 6-inch dagger-like teeth, and that's a killing machine that nothing can compare to.
To capture the magnitude of the T-Rex on film, Winston created a life-sized robotic creature that weighed over 13,000 pounds. And though the mechanical monster only seemed alive, it still posed a danger for everyone on the set.
They would tell people to shut off their cell phones and laptop computers because the things could go out of control. And so you could be near a dinosaur and it would actually roar.
Those actors were dealing with a full-size Tyrannosaurus Rex that could kill them. So they didn't have to act afraid. They were afraid.
To help perfect the dinosaur's movement, several sequences were tested using claymation.
Wanted to actually do storyboards three-dimensionally with little clay figures of dinosaurs and people that would completely imitate my storyboards, but flesh out my storyboards and give them dimension.
They had done a claymation version of for instance, the first T-Rex attack. And they had it on the set on a video screen. So when we were doing a shot, we could look at the claymation version of Sam and the kids in the car. They'd done the whole thing.
The animatronic dinosaurs weren't the only ones helping the actors get into character. Sometimes Steven Spielberg would lend a hand.
He would sort of make dinosaur sounds sometimes through a bullhorn off screen and go, "Rrr, rrr."
Sharing screen time with Winston's creatures were the groundbreaking computer effects of Industrial Light and Magic, the Oscar-winning company created by Spielberg's friend, George Lucas. ILM set standards for visual effects back in 1977 with the original Star Wars. Their pioneering use of computer-generated images, also known as CGI, would complete the illusion that dinosaurs once again roamed the Earth.
It's a dinosaur.
Under the guidance of visual effects supervisor Dennis Murin, ILM was able to generate a sophisticated stampede of dinosaurs, which were incorporated into scenes with live actors.
And half the time, it was Dennis Murin, ILM, and those guys doing strange things and taking pictures for what they later would put in and putting little colored golf balls around.
The years of work invested by Spielberg and his team paid off when Jurassic Park finally premiered in 1993. The film trampled box office records, earning over $50 million its opening weekend and grossing $870 million worldwide. Its trailblazing dinosaurs were hailed as the most spectacular and accurate ever created in the history of cinema.
Jurassic Park was the movie that gave to the movie-going world their first idea of what dinosaurs might really have been like.
The weight and the movement was something I had never expected to see. There was a realism imparted.
More than any dinosaur movie before it, Jurassic Park had incorporated the latest scientific theories and research, dispelling more myths than it created. It wasn't surprising that many of its greatest fans were paleontologists. But as with every dinosaur movie, there was room for discussion and some dissension.
The Jurassic Park T-Rex is cool. It's really scary. It's only a little bit bigger than life, but T-Rex in real life probably didn't run fast at all. If it ran at all, it was chasing animals that move very slowly, so it didn't need to. But in the movie, it's chasing a Jeep that can barely get away from it. Real life, in third gear, that Jeep would be long gone.
Perhaps the greatest controversy was over the depiction of the movie's main dino stars, the velociraptors.
The velociraptors in Jurassic Park, they're bigger, they're smarter, they're faster than they had any business being.
What is it? It's a velociraptor.
They're smarter because it makes them scarier, but the real velociraptor, size of a poodle, as smart as an ostrich, doesn't remember much, can't open a door. Other than that, they're perfect.
Another dino source of contention among paleontologists was Jurassic Park's poison-spitting Dilophosaurus.
Well, the spitter is really a total fabrication. It's called Dilophosaurus, and Dilophosaurus in real life was a 20-foot long meat eater.
In Jurassic Park, the Dilophosaurus sprays this noxious stuff, and yet the original specimen seems to have these little pits on the side of the skull. So what were they for?
To hypothesize that these were for ejecting poison when dinosaurs are very far on the evolutionary tree from the snakes that do so is a huge extrapolation.
Steven Spielberg may have embellished his dinosaurs to heighten the on-screen excitement, but his instinct to think big got a scientific boost in 1992.
They were making the movie Jurassic Park. Someone in Utah found a dinosaur they called Utah Raptor, a cousin 20 feet long, as big as a bread truck. And so Spielberg, for once, had undersized his possibilities.
Jurassic Park's depiction of swift and cunning dinosaurs finally dramatized the progressive paleontologist theories that had been spreading for 2 decades. And not only did Spielberg's deadly raptors embody this new and improved dinosaur image, they also became a symbol for corporate America.
There's a great New Yorker cartoon that shows CEOs sitting in a corporate boardroom and saying,
Today, gentlemen, we trade in the brute force of the T-Rex for the cunning of the Velociraptor. And this became actually part of the lingo of dot-com boardrooms in the 90s. When Enron named its offshore enterprises, the ones that were supposed to gobble up excess debt and make their books look better, they called them raptors. So it was like this whole dinosaur myth became part of corporate culture as well.
You're watching Whoa Sunday. Don't go away.
You could brush his scales, put costumes on him. My little T-Rex.
Stay tuned. There's more Whoa Sunday right here on Animal Planet. You're watching Whoa Sunday. It's time for It's Entertaining with Mo Rocca.
You know, entertaining friends can be a little daunting when your friends are dinosaurs, but don't let their tendency to destroy everything in their path scare you. With just a little bit of preparation, your prehistoric party can be a good thing. First things first, inquire as to whether your dinosaur guests are herbivores, meaning plant eaters, or carnivores, meaning meat eaters. And don't forget to ask about seafood allergies. Now, tall herbivores like the Brachiosaurus love being served big leaves from atop tall trees. And remember, dressing on the side. Some Brachiosauri like to keep it simple. Smaller herbivores like the Triceratops always appreciate a tasty smaller leaf, like a fern or a ginkgo. A Triceratops never forgets a good ginkgo. And finally, carnivore guests like the Tyrannosaurus are the easiest to please. They'll just eat your other guests.
This has been It's Entertaining with Mo Rocca. We now return to Hollywood's prehistoric superstars on Animal Planet's Whoa Sunday.
In the wake of Jurassic Park, dinosaurs truly seemed to rule the Earth. The movie's success generated a global phenomenon and a mammoth merchandising blitz. Its popularity also inspired Steven Spielberg to team up with Universal Studios for the $110 million attraction, Jurassic Park: The Ride.
We want to see dinosaurs alive. Theme parks can do it. And the best way for us to feel terror of dinosaurs, instead of just the majesty of their bones, is to go to a theme park and get scared out of our mind. Theme park for Jurassic Park cost more for a 5-minute ride than the whole movie cost to make. But you need that sense of terror, and to get that, dinosaurs have changed from these lumbering, static, and hardly moving robots to fantastic creatures that come at you. You go through their mouth and come out the other side.
It's just the image of these dinosaurs. And when you put them in a film, there's a dramatic component to it that makes it more exciting. But in an amusement park, you have the visceral reality of having them there.
Virtual dinosaur experiences also became popular, including those created by the dino-loving Kyoto brothers.
We created a film show for Circle Vision. It's a 360-degree circle theater vision. It did what, a Triceratops and Tyrannosaurus fight. And when you stand in the theater, the images are 15 feet tall. They're surrounding you with the sound. It's like you're thrown back 60 million years.
Jurassic Park also triggered an endless series of dinosaur features, made at both ends of the budget spectrum, from a live-action version of the Flintstones and the Disney feature Dinosaur, to the campy comedy Dinosaur Valley Girls, directed by Jurassic expert and dinosaur author Don Bluth.
The first movie I ever made as a professional filmmaker was a movie called Dinosaur Valley Girls. Dinosaurs to look like dinosaurs, and I was very adamant that they were accurate.
Aren't you glad to meet a vegetarian?
Dinosaur Valley Girls didn't make any pretensions about being anything other than what it was. It was a dinosaur movie.
What am I doing? This is out of my calling circle.
Meanwhile, in 1997, director Steven Spielberg brought his breakthrough CGI dinosaurs back to the big screen with The Lost World, Jurassic Park, based on Michael Crichton's 1995 best-selling sequel. But not even Spielberg's dino stars were as big as the 8-story wonders seen in the hit IMAX film, T-Rex, Back to the Cretaceous.
Back to the Cretaceous. Dinosaurs bigger than you can imagine.
Take one, A-mark only.
Action!
Using state-of-the-art IMAX 3D technology and shot on the largest film format in the world, the movie told the story of a mysterious dinosaur egg that brings prehistoric creatures to life.
This, to me, is the closest thing to true immersive virtual reality on the planet. It's taking the large-scale cinematic experience and you're putting the viewer right inside it in the context of 3D.
The result gave audiences the experience of being part of the world of dinosaurs, who were 4,500 times larger than the average TV screen. In 1999, Prehistoric creatures returned to the small screen when executive producer and dinosaur fan John Landis turned Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's novel, The Lost World, into a syndicated TV series.
Because of television and a series, there are a lot of cooks, there are a lot of hands in there. So the series turned out pretty silly, but there were some pretty good dinosaurs, mostly CG, done at the time.
But no franchise could top the movie series that had launched 1990's Dinomania, Jurassic Park.
My favorite of Jurassic Park movies was the third one, because they didn't have to bother with any of the exposition. It was just, monster.
In 2001, Jurassic Park 3, directed by Joe Johnston, used advances in CGI technology to create even more nuanced versions of some familiar prehistoric creatures.
What we're trying to do is bring the creatures closer to reality in dynamic skin simulation. So what we want to do is create the effect that there is a bone moving under the skin. And those dynamics in turn drive the skin so that it stretches and folds and moves around correctly.
Another aspect that we also added, and you can see it even in this version, there are a lot of bird-like ticks that we've added to the animal's movements. And that lends a believability to the creatures.
One of the film's most spine-chilling dinosaurs loomed larger than even T-Rex, the Spinosaurus.
Jurassic Park 3, they made Spinosaurus the villain to end all villains.
They made an even bigger dinosaur, a super dinosaur.
According to Jurassic Park paleontology consultant Jack Horner, Spinosaurus was the biggest meat-eating dinosaur that ever lived. A massive carnivore stretching some 60 feet and with an 8-foot-long skull. But future studies of the Spinosaurus may forever remain impossible because no skeleton of the creature is known to exist. After being discovered in 1911 in Egypt's Sahara Desert by German paleontologist Ernst Stromer von Reichenbach, the Spinosaurus was incinerated by Allied warplanes in 1944 during a bombing raid on Munich.
Sadly, Spinosaurus is gone again. The Allied bombers blew it up, quite by accident. Not the first dinosaur to disappear, but the biggest.
You're watching Whoa Sunday.
Had to tie him in the tail, and he's stuck, and they had to tie him out of his tail wrong.
I don't understand what she said, but it
I
sounds
said
very compelling. Yeah, right.
And the
Sure.
tie, cat tail.
Okay.
Don't go away. There's more Whoa Sunday right here on Animal Planet. And now more Whoa with Mo.
Welcome back to Whoa Sunday. You know, whenever I think I'm safe from the clutches of a Tyrannosaurus Rex or a pterodactyl, I find myself face to face with one of the dinosaur's distant relatives, the pigeon. Yes, the pigeon. Scientists have suggested that birds evolved from dinosaurs about 150 million years ago, and you can see the striking resemblance. Check out the body shape and the fearsome eyes on the side of the head. One fossil showed a dinosaur with a shoulder and upper arm bone that tucked in like a wing. Other fossils suggest that some dinosaurs had feathers. And pigeons have feathers. Does that change your feelings about pigeons now that you know that they're related to dinosaurs?
No.
Are you scared of pigeons now?
No.
Not even the P-Rex, the Paganosaurus Rex?
No. 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 No.
No. Not really.
No.
And now, back to Hollywood's prehistoric superstars.
Thanks to growing scientific information about dinosaurs and the breakthroughs of CGI, documentaries like Walking with Dinosaurs and When Dinosaurs Roamed America let viewers go back in time for a state-of-the-art glimpse of what prehistoric life might have been like.
The public's perception of dinosaurs continues to evolve because actually the technology we have in the media to show dinosaurs has evolved in some really exciting ways.
Can you imagine if people 50 years ago could see some of these movies? What would they think? And just like that, people will, I'm sure, in the future, look back on the movies now and go, ooh, how primitive and cute and silly, and because what will they be doing? And what would we think if we could see them? Our eyes would pop out, I'm sure.
Perhaps the ultimate reason these long-extinct creatures still grip the imagination is simple. No human being at any time in history has ever seen one firsthand.
I don't think dinosaurs would be so popular if they actually survived into the modern world. They'd just be another part of the scenery, like hippopotamuses or something. We can only access them on the realm of fantasy is a powerful incentive.
Dinosaurs represent something deep and primordial in our subconscious. I mean, we have a deep memory of something, because even before they had the knowledge to figure out what dinosaurs were, we had dragons. We had St. George fighting a dinosaur.
Dinosaurs are dragons. In Chinese, the word for dragon is the same word as for dinosaurs. People were finding dinosaurs long before we ever had a name for this scientific animal.
The biggest dinosaur of all is called Argentinosaurus. Now, I'm going to ask the grown-ups here a question, because remember, you guys know a lot about dinosaurs, but grown-ups, nope.
Dinosaurs are a great tool for learning. First of all, literally learning the names, spelling the names, saying Pachycephalosaurus. You get great feedback from your parents. Look how smart little Johnny is, he can do this.
There's nothing like that moment at the dinner table when Dad says, well, so did you learn about the Brontosaurus in your dinosaur lesson? And the little Johnny, 6 years old, says, Dad, you know, they used to call it Brontosaurus, but now we call it a Apatosaurus. Science has moved on since your day.
Children are hardly the only ones fascinated by dinosaurs. Every day, adults flock to see prehistoric artifacts, making dinosaur exhibits most museums' #1 attraction.
Let's go!
Case in point, the dinosaurs of Jurassic Park, the most popular traveling exhibit in history, drawing crowds of over 5 million from America to Japan.
とうとう来たか。
3 million people saw that exhibit across 15 cities in the country. We've had 400,000 people in a day come to an exhibit of dinosaurs. There's nothing that matches people's desire to go see dinosaurs.
If you ask any cab driver in New York and they say, well, where are you going? You say the Natural History Museum. They refer to it as the Dinosaur Museum.
There's nothing like seeing a dinosaur exhibited in a museum. You can watch it on TV, you can see it on the big screen, but until you see that scale, the size that dinosaurs really attained, you can't imagine that there were creatures that really were 3 school buses long, that weighed 50 elephants, that towered over a building, until you see that and put yourself in perspective against the greatest wonders that nature ever produced.
A lot of things from Japan have reached America's heart.
Holy cow, it's the monster!
Dinosaurs have also left their footprint on the world of advertising.
This year, Chevrolet is bringing you 2 of the smaller. New Sprint Turbo, imported to go like a bat out of a soccer. And Chevy Spectrum with European styling that's built in Japan. Put yourself in today's Chevrolet.
Well, it's hard to get around anywhere without seeing a dinosaur somewhere. Dinosaur imagery has been applied to just about everything you can think of, from toys and games, model kits, to drinking mugs, to anything you can figure out that you can put a dinosaur on has been done. Bubble gum, candy, cookie cutters, movies, comic books. The list just goes on and on and on.
Sit up. Roll over. Good boy.
Okay, here's an easy one. Play dead.
Coming up on Whoa Sunday, great moments in animal history with Mo Rocca. Don't go away, there's more Whoa Sunday after the break. You're watching Whoa Sunday. It's time once again for great moments in animal history with Mo Rocca.
You know, breaking up is hard to do, yet sometimes it's for the best, as a team of paleontologists recently found out. In March 2005, scientists who discovered the fossilized remains of a T-Rex in Montana reluctantly broke the creature's massive thigh bone in order to fit it onto a helicopter. Of course, anyone who's ever used a mover isn't the least bit surprised. To the scientists' amazement, the broken bone revealed fossilized soft tissue strongly resembling that of an ostrich. The best evidence yet that the descendants of most dinosaurs are, surprisingly, birds, not reptiles. Don't bury your head in the sand, it's true. I don't blame him. Who doesn't hate meeting new relatives?
We now return to Hollywood's prehistoric superstars on Animal Planet's Whoa Sunday.
Part of dinosaurs' continuing appeal is our ever-changing perception of how they actually looked and acted thanks to the latest scientific discoveries.
Every new discovery in science changes our view about dinosaurs. For instance, we now know that some dinosaurs had feathers. Well, as a culture, we haven't even caught up with that. You don't see dinosaurs with feathers running around in the toy department. But soon they will be.
It's interesting how every year they come up with a different theory. I mean, now people say that the dinosaurs were rainbow colored, bright reds and blues and brilliant yellows.
I mean, every day you hear about a new toy line coming out with a new set of dinosaurs. There's magazines devoted to dinosaur collecting, like the Prehistoric Times. There's more dinosaur books out now than ever before.
Given the endless fascination with dinosaurs in our culture, it's no wonder that paleontologists are making more discoveries than ever before. In March of 2005, in a real-life plot twist-worthy of Jurassic Park, scientists unearthed what before seemed only possible in fiction: soft tissues from a Tyrannosaurus rex. They included blood vessels virtually identical to those of an ostrich, a discovery that strongly supported the link between the T-Rex and the largest living bird.
There's been a lot of great discoveries over the last 10 years that have really, rocked the world of how dinosaurs looked. Many of them have feathers, others of them have bizarre hair-like structures sticking off of them. And this isn't just things that people have made up. I mean, this is really based on new specimens which have been discovered in the last 10 years.
This is the golden age of dinosaurs, right in the middle of it. Twice as many dinosaurs we know now than when I was a kid. And the pace at which we're learning not just the number of dinosaurs, but how they lived and how they died, well, it's never been like this before.
For over 100 years, thanks to the combined efforts of artists, filmmakers, and scientists, dinosaurs have literally evolved before our very eyes. In images that reflect not only the world they lived in, but also ours.
Everybody loves dinosaurs.
We love dinosaurs! We love dinosaurs!
They love them in books, they love them on t-shirts, but people love them especially in exhibits. And the reason they come to these exhibits is that they are so fantastic a creature to see.
For over 150 million years, they ruled the planet. For 60 million years, they've been extinct. But whether they're wreaking havoc in blockbuster movies, inspiring the imagination of children, or triggering new scientific discoveries, dinosaurs continue to reign upon the planet.
Dinosaurs haven't died. They're still alive. Not only are birds living dinosaurs, but dinosaurs are in our minds. They are the creatures of fantasy.
Dinosaurs have a big future.